Hi everybody, welcome to Stay Creative at the OPC with Art on the Go project kits. Today we are going to be doing a very simple project that's good for yourself or anyone in your family who wants to get creative. It's called Lavender Flower Mason Jar Painting Project. And I don't have a finished one right here to show you, but as we go along you'll see the progress. These are so much fun and they have such pretty results. These kits are available now, and the kit is $15, which includes all the supplies that you will need to do this project. You can order one for yourself or order one for you and someone else in your family, a grandchild, whatever, and you can all get creative and have fun. All you need to do is to call the OPC clerical office or you can go online to register, and that way you'll be registering for your kit by paying $15, and then you'll receive a call from one of us at OPC and we'll have your kit available for you to pick up curbside. Doesn't that sound fun and how easy? You don't have to go anywhere yet you can still be creative. So the very first thing we're going to show you, there's kind of two techniques to this. There's distressing your mason jar, and then after that has dried, we're actually going to be painting some pretty lilac pictures onto your jar. And we'll show you techniques to do that. So the very first thing that you're gonna do is take out your jar and the foam brush that is within your jar and your white paint. You wanna shake these paints up a little bit because sometimes they tend to get a little bit watery on the top. So give them a good shake and then just put some into your palette that's in your kit. And the jars have been cleaned. If you're doing this at home on your own and you want to do more or something, just be sure you have a nice, clean, dry jar. Okay, then you're taking your foam brush. This part's just simple, and just painting your jar. Now, I found when I did mine that I liked having 2 coats on it, but that's kind of up to you. If you start putting it on and you like seeing some of the jar through it, that's fine too. But you're just going to pick one direction. I found up and down kind of worked the best. You might find if you need to put your hand in the jar as you get painting on the top and just kind of tilt it as you go along. Kind of helps you to hold it. So we're just going all the way around, spin, spin. Don't add any water to your paints or anything when you do this. Just use the paint after you've given it a little shake. Because the jars have like either Ball or Kerr or the name brand on them, you might need to do a little extra touch up in there. Okay, and then you've got this top part to do, which is harder to do, but I just put my hand inside the jar and kind of turn it as you go along. Give it a little spin, keep painting, and just cover in all your areas. You probably want to have some kind of a work surface down, as we've talked about in some of our other projects. That way if you put this onto your table and there's some paint on the bottom or whatever, you're not going to get it right onto your table. So sometimes you got to do a little touch up. But you can see one coat, I'd even go along the top of your jar so it's all. One coat, you may have a few imperfections here or there, so you may want to go over it and touch up. What I did when I did my jar, which I have right here, I let the first coat dry, and then when it was totally dry, I put on a second coat. But again, the second coat's up to you. I do think it offers a little more longevity to your piece as far as if it chipped off or a little bit or whatever, but you want it to look distressed anyway. So I did wait for it to dry. Now if you're wanting to continue on with the project and you don't want to wait a long time, because it does probably take 15 minutes or so to dry, what I did is I took a hairdryer and just blew it all around on my piece, and it really dried quite quickly. And then I was ready to do my second coat. I would also, and I'm not going to do that now just because I'm not going to take the time for it to dry, but I would paint the bottom of your piece as well. And that way your entire jar is white. Okay, So that's the first part, just painting that jar. We're gonna put that aside. When it's totally dry, you're gonna take your jar, and you can see from mine that there's some imperfections now. And what we did is we took our sandpaper, and the pieces in your kit are a little bigger than this, but you just take a little piece of sandpaper and just lightly sand. You can do as much distressing as you want. If you want it really distressed, you can keep going more and more. I wouldn't go real heavy with this, just kind of light. And you got to get your feel for it. You can do some, I distress some up along the top so that now it just looks a little bit more rustic. So that's step 2. Once that is done, you're ready to get creative with your lilacs. Now I'll just show you a couple little things that we did. What I did first is I just kind of did a little drawing of clusters of lilacs, but you don't have to do that if you feel confident doing. Just starting, it's fine too. You could take a piece of scrap paper and just try out your paints first. But here you can see this is a little bit looser piece that we did, and I'm going to show you some of the techniques of just using one brush and varying your lines to get different results. Now this was one Marianne was fiddling around with, and hers is a little bit, her lilacs are a little different shape. So it just depends how you handle your brush. You only have one brush in your kit, but you're going to be amazed at the different results that you can get from just that one brush. You'll also be amazed at the different results that you can get from just 3 colors of paints. We're basically using our white, we're using a purple, and we're using a ivy moss type of green. And by just adding a little white into it, by varying maybe your tiny bit the use of how much water you put into it, you're going to be able to get different results. So you can take your palette and again give your paints a little shake, and you don't need really a lot to do this. So if you want to be able to make more than one, I wouldn't put a lot in. You can always add some more, and that way if you want to get creative and do more of this, you can. So we're going to do a little green and a little purple. We chose a darker purple to use because you can add white to make, this one's a little thicker, but you can add white to make more of a light lilac type of color. So I'm gonna put this brush in here just so that it doesn't get hard, and set that aside. And then we're gonna take our jar, and we provided in the kit just like a medium size, like kind of small to medium sized brush, because you are gonna wanna have some fine lines to do the stems and that type of thing. So don't be afraid, think about your design. You can just do one side if you want, but in a way, because this is probably gonna be more of a centerpiece or whatever, I might think of a design that would go all the way around. So do some in the front, maybe your field just continues on the back, or maybe, a lilac goes off to the side, but think kind of about the whole piece, especially if you want to look at it from more than one angle. So we are going to take our green, I think I'll start with. And it's good to have some of the paper towel that's in there, and you can just test on your paper towel. And you'll see how you can start with like your brush, which will be loaded with paint and have a lot of paint, but as you continue the line, the paint lessens and you get more of a dry brush effect. So there's all kinds of things you can do. Just don't be afraid. If you really did something you didn't like, you could take some of the white when it dries and go over it. So what we're going to do, I'm going to just put in a few stems. And if anything, I think I try to go a little lighter, and you can always make your lines heavier if you want. But let your hand just kind of flow. And don't be afraid. I'm going to try to go with my design I had didn't so much go off to the side, so I'm going to try to do it this time. You can move your jar around too if you don't want to keep it straight up all the time. And Don't go too heavy with your brush, just, whoops, see that one I did a little heavier, but that's okay. You can see you get a variety of lines. And you want to save room to put your lilacs in. So I think I'm just going to start with this right now, and maybe later we'll add some grass. Nothing's really a mistake. Like this last line I put in, I actually probably wouldn't have wanted it to be quite that big, but I think that's okay. So I might even put in a couple leaves at this point. And leaves could be as simple as a little line, but they could be doubled. Just don't be afraid. Just kind of, you can water your paints a little. You see those are a little bit lighter, and that way they don't stand out quite so much. Now I'm going to take my purple, and I think I'm going to take a little in here, and I'm going to not go in with it quite so dark. Take some of my white and get like a nice lilac going. Oops, get my colors kind of mixed in here, but okay. Then always try, have your little paper towel and try till you feel comfortable. All these are just little heavy lines. And leave a little space in between them, because I'm going to show you how you can actually go in and add a little color variation on this. You can go up above, just, okay, you can see right now that pretty much this is all one color of lilac. But we can add in just a little bit of depth by taking that darker color. Oh, I think I watered it down a little too much. If you did, just do it on the paper towel and it'll kind of take it off. But I'm going to add a little darker here and there just for some variation in color. And then if you want to actually, while the paints are still kind of wet, just go in and add a little bit of light, and it'll kind of just blend itself. You can see. If you want dark somewhere, just add it in. I like working when the paint's kind of still wet. It just gives a nice painterly effect. So there you've got one lilac going. Now we can take the next and do, they can come right down into your stem. Not everyone has to be the same. See, that one's a little bit larger than the other. And then taking some of my white, I don't even clean my brush between everything. Just get a palette of different colors going. Oh, I just smudged that one with my finger. But what we'll do is, since I smudged it, I'll just wait until this dries a little and I'll paint a little white in between it. So again, you can see there's really no mistake as such. Purple's not coming quite as dark as I thought it would be, but this is really fun. This is something I think you could do with your grandkids, or heck, you can get a neighbor and say, let's do something together. Decide you want to see, even this already I'm kind of able to correct. So sometimes just waiting a little till it dries and then going back into it helps. So now we'll twist our jar and just keep going with your lilacs. You can make some big, some little. If you wanted, you can do a couple and then go back and fill in. But you can see that's just so pretty. And if you wanted to, you could do exactly the same thing on the other side, or something very similar. Or like I said, you know, maybe on this side you just do one. We'll get there. So let's kind of finish up on this part, and then put some darks in. And everybody's lilacs are going to be different. If you like the lighter color, you can go with that. Put more of the deeper purple in, but maybe some like the lighter. So it's up to you, whatever you want to do. But you can see, just looking here, you can see all the different shades. I mean, we can get into another one here. There's just so many shades that you can mix just from these colors. And the same thing really applies to your green, that if you just want to use the green direct out of the tube, you can do that. But on the other hand, you can add a little white and make it look lighter too. So, you know, try to keep it light and wispy. Like now I think I'd like to go in where I kind of goofed on that one, smudged it up, and maybe add a little bit of white like that. And let's just do one more over here. Maybe these will be a little lighter, like they're kind of fading off. So you can see all the varieties that you can get. So now we've kind of completed our lilac, or I'm sorry, I keep calling them lilacs. We've kind of completed our lavender. They look like lilacs too, but I've kind of completed our lavender here. And now maybe we want to do a little bit of grass on the bottom of our lavender field. So again, just light strokes. And look how, if you let your brush kind of go and not keep dipping it into the paint, you can get more of a dry brush effect. You could even kind of dab it off onto your paper towel so that you start to dot, and you do get more of that dry brushing. And that's something you could actually carry right around. But you do have to take some of the paint off the brush to get that kind of an effect. But maybe that we continue along the back. Again, dabbing so that it's not too dark, and it just, well, now that's a little darker, but that's okay. You can get a variety. And then maybe on this side, we take our green, our stem of the lavender, and just do a very simple design on the back. They don't have to be exactly the same, identical on the front and the back. I always like how the paper looks too when you're dabbing. I think these, I was doing this one earlier, and I think it almost makes an interesting little piece of art of itself. So you can have your lavender fields on your paper towel as well. So let's go back into some of our lavender colors and just add a couple on the back here. It's going to be interesting to see how everybody's just comes out so different. Everyone's will be unique. Everyone's will be their own design. It's not about making it like mine, or if you're working with someone else, like making it just like theirs. It's about having it be unique and being your own piece. And you know, you could just do a couple grasses. They don't all have to have a lavender on them. Could be as simple as this. Okay, so you can see at this point we have our painted lavender jar. How pretty is that? You could use it as a centerpiece. You could actually put some real lavender. You could buy some imitation lavender, whatever, and just put it in. You could, I've seen these even used as Kleenex jars. Like you can get a cover and you know, the top of the ball lid and put that in with a slit and put some Kleenex in it. You could use it for a jar for utensils or whatever, but they're just so fresh and so pretty. Now, to finish this off, what we're going to do, and mine's still a little bit wet, but I'm just going to kind of show you the technique. In your kit, we have provided some raffia, which is just natural and nice. And you're just gonna take that raffia, and we provided a little extra so you can use as much as you want. I wouldn't do too much that it takes away from your design, but just kind of tie your raffia on and take a pair of scissors. Maybe we'll kind of do this off to the side. You can cut your raffia to different lengths if you want. Now you could do something just as simple as that if you wanted to tie a bow on one of them. We did them kind of long in your kit, so you can do what you want with it. But we also provided some little beads. Let me move my scissors here. And there's 3 different colors. There's some different lilac colors and greens and some just natural colored beads. And if you'd like, you could just tie a few little baubles to add to your piece. All you have to do is just slip it in through the hole of the bead, and then if you tie it, they should stay. You might want to double knot it. And you could do the same, choosing whichever color beads that are in your little kit that you would like to do. I don't have my glasses on, so it's hard to see some of these, but you just slip them through. And that's just a little fun way to add an extra embellishment. Maybe put them at different lengths so they're not exactly the same. I like things to be a little odd, you know, not everything real even, but just something as simple as that with a few little pieces, and voila, you've got a lovely jar to display in your home. I am very anxious to see what these come out like for those of you who are ordering our kits. We have limited kits available at this point. We can always try to make more, but try to get your calls in and reserve your kit so that you too can make this fun project. I would love if once you make them, if you take a few photos and you send them to us here at OPC, and we would love to post them on Facebook so that people can see some of the things that we're doing with our Art to Go kits. We'll be having more of these twice a month. These will be available. So watch our website, and then you can go on our YouTube channel and see just how to do this. We will also include directions inside your kit. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call us. In the meantime, stay creative. Actually, lavender is something that helps people to bring out their creative side, and it calms people. So I hope that you'll find some real calmness and fun and relaxation in this project. Enjoy.